All right, so we'll hand it off to Megan, who's going to talk about transitioning from the school year to summer. So we know a lot of kids have just finished up their school year within the last few days and are excited for summer activities. I know the end of the school year maybe didn't end the way that any of us planned for it to end. But making that transition, that change from, one kind of schedule and lifestyle to another can be complicated. So, Megan, go ahead and take it away.
Cool. Thank you, Alex. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. All right. So, like Alex said, it was a really tough end of the school year for parents, teachers, kids, everybody. Teaching your students while they're at home, doing things virtually, for parents who had to figure out, what life is like as a teacher, as a co-teacher, and as a parent, and also a worker, was crazy, and it was hectic, and it was, I'm sure really fantastic for a lot of families who were able to spend so much time with their kids over the last few months as well. But now we are done with this school year, which is, I'm sure, a big relief for a lot of parents because schoolwork is hard and it's tough to have to stay on top of all that paperwork and all of those like grading and, balancing everything all at once is really tough. But of course, we've heard lots of possibilities for what the next school year will look like, including the possibility of, having to do virtual school starting in the fall, with hopefully being able to transition back to school for the second part of the school year. So, I'm sure lots of people have been starting to wonder, like, how can I keep my kid or my kids, ready to go back, but still letting them like have a summer vacation and making it feel like summer vacation while still, making sure that they're retaining the information that they worked so hard to learn this school year. So just, I think a really important piece is to keep the schedules that we have worked on. Of course, loosening them up a little bit, allowing for more flexibility within the day, but still making sure that, you have some sort of schedule that you can kind of stick to, which will really help when we have to start transitioning back into the school year, whether that be in person or virtual. Having that schedule is key to an easy transition from school to summer back to school. Still provide lots of time for your kids to get outside. You don't have to necessarily sit down and do, school paperwork or different, learning forms and things like that. Get your kids outside and help them, provide them with opportunities for exploratory learning. So sending your kids outside to go look for rocks and talk about what those rocks mean and how long they've been here for and all different things like that. There's so many ways that kids can learn by just, taking in the resources that we have right outside our door or even right inside our house. All sorts of things like, you can learn about history, you can learn about heritage, you can learn about math, all sorts of things are right here. And when kids do that kind of learning, it doesn't really feel like they are learning. It helps them to feel like they're doing something really fun. So making sure that you're just providing them with lots of opportunities to learn in a way that doesn't really feel like learning for them. You want to be able to take time for your kids to still see their friends. So now that, we're able to kind of get out and go to more places, which I think Sarah's going to talk about a little bit more too. But, now is a great time for your kids to be able to have some play dates and be able to see friends that they haven't seen in a long time while still being able to keep a little bit of social distancing, but still have fun and enjoy their summer, doing things like playing in the sprinklers or making your own slip and slide, different things like that are really great ways to be able to, have fun and enjoy their company without having to go to places that might be a little bit more busy, like lakes and pools and things like that. And you want to be able to plan for the outdoor learning activities in order to make sure that, the kids are keeping up on everything that they worked so hard and what, parents have worked so hard to build up. And then as we start to transition into the next school year, just making sure that you have that schedule, that you start working with your children, just to remind them, school might look a little bit different right now, but we're going to do everything that we can to make sure that it feels normal and that it feels like we're not really missing out on, our traditional school feeling and all of the work that you do with your classmates and your teachers and things like that. And just take time as parents and caregivers to set aside time for yourself, set aside time to just bond with your kids in a way that feels, like we haven't really been able to do much of that with like the craziness of the last few months, but being able to just have time to go on play dates or even meet up with some of your friends who have other children. That way it's, you're still able to provide a lot more for your kids, and making sure that this summer feels as normal as it possibly can without being, too overwhelming and stuff like
that. I was muted. I said, that's great, Megan. You have, as you were talking, it was just, I remember sort of the transition from like finishing the school year to then going into the summer. And that was always like such an exciting time for me as a kid. And I'm sure it was for you guys too. But this school year is obviously like pretty different. I think for maybe some kids, it felt like summer vacation kind of started a little bit early, or it's just like the transition or the differentiation between the school year and no school year, I think was kind of like blurred maybe for a lot of families. So I think this is really good to, just kind of call attention to it and still, we've talked about this a lot, but just that level of consistency, because especially like getting back into the school year, like I know that would be the time where I was like up late playing video games, and it's like the week before school, I'm like, okay, I got to get like a regular sleep schedule going, because this isn't going to work when I have to wake up at 6 a.m. to get ready for school. But but as you were talking, I was trying to think, and I was curious for you guys, like what was your favorite sort of summer activity when you guys were kids?
I think when Megan brought up the slip and slide, that brought back a lot of really great memories. So anything that was like just so refreshing and outside was like my favorite. So we did slip and slide a tiny little hill in my bed. And then another thing I remember is we had a trampoline, and if we could get somebody to like spray us with the hose while we were jumping on the trampoline, it was like best of both worlds. So definitely
nice.
Those are my favorite.
I am a big proponent of trampolines. You cannot be sad and be on a trampoline at the same time. I think that's impossible. Yeah. There should be some kind of therapy around that.
Yeah.
Megan, how about you?
Slip and slides were a big thing for me as well. We like to make our own with like a tarp and some dish soap, so it was like extra slippery. And water balloons. We had like all sorts of water balloon fights where you would be in your normal daily clothes and you would play like hot potato with a water balloon, and then it was kind of disappointing but also really refreshing to be the one who got the balloon popped on them because you didn't catch it or something like that. And tie-dye. We did a lot of tie-dye in the summertime. But
nice. That's great.